Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope that this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Well, Dave, welcome back.
Hey, thank you.
Today is my favorite day.
Yep.
We all have personal stories that we like to share, and I would like to know why today is your favorite day.
Today is my favorite day is because this is December 15th. At least we're filming it early and it's going to go out on the 15th. December 15th is my anniversary with Tonya.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're 32 years. We were married in December 15th, 1990. And we felt like you and I were talking about this, that we could just talk a little bit about maybe a lot of people don't know how Tonya and I met, how we went through this kind of stuff, and how we even got to marry and that kind of thing. So as far as for us, Tonya's from Las Vegas.
Okay.
I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. And we ended up meeting up in Chico, a town in California, Northern California. I was running track there. Tonya was there. She was a single mom with Shayna, and you know Shayna.
I know Shayna.
Alex knows Shayna. As a matter of fact, he's working with her on certain things. So I met Shayna and Tonya Shayna was what, 1.5, 2 maybe at the most. Okay. And she was the college mom basically, but she was young. She was young, and so we had this young kid in this large college ministry at Chico State. That was at Neighborhood Church in Chico. I was running track with my brother at Chico State at that time, and Tonya and I ended up becoming friends.
Okay, so this was
1980s.
Yeah. Right after you had accepted Christ, I
had just accepted Christ. I was going to Chico State. Honestly, I was going to Chico State because it was Party School of the Nation by Playboy magazine.
Yeah, it was number one.
Beautiful women. I mean, it's a beautiful place, and it's a beautiful campus. And I was going there to run track, and I ended up accepting Christ right before it. So I went there still, beautiful women, beautiful place. I just wasn't going to be partying it up like I was going to do.
God had a better plan.
Yeah, I wasn't going to be taking advantage of women. I wasn't going to do any of that kind of stuff. I basically, my first day there, Coach Freitas, my track coach, he goes, I was with him and 2 younger guys came in because I went to work for a couple of years at a bank, and then my old coach had talked to the coaches and said, hey, this guy has grown, he's faster, and I hadn't got paid at any track meet with the TAC meets and stuff, so I was still eligible at that time. So he said, talk to him about me. I showed that I can still jump and run fast, and so I'm talking with Coach Freitas. 2 guys come in. Hey, Coach Freitas, and he goes, hey, what are you guys going to do? Oh, we're going to a kegger, man. It's going to be great. And Freitas is going, just stay safe, don't do anything stupid. Right. And then they asked me, what are you doing? And I said, I'm looking for a church. You guys got to come with me after you get wasted that night? And it was funny because they ran. So I ended up finding a church. It was Neighborhood Church. And met Tonya relatively early there. She and I, Tonya's beautiful. She was an aerobic instructor and trainer. And I always thought her was pretty, but she was a single mom, and I never really thought about dating a single mom. So we actually ended up doing Bible studies together. She looked at me as kind of a legalistic guy because being in my sports world, everything had to be structured, and I structured my faith as well. I know that's not right, but that's what I did. And so everything was systematic.
Was that the CDO starting to come out right away?
Yeah, the CDO, not the OCD, but CDO. And I was living my faith out, but I was doing a lot of religion and a lot of being strict on things.
We do that when we're new to the faith.
A lot of people do. And so Tonya just said, well, that guy, I'm not going to date that guy,
Right.
And I looked at her and said, I don't think I'll date a single mom, even though she's really pretty. Yeah. So we ended up actually dating different people over the years, and I went through my undergraduate work and went into graduate work. And as I was in graduate work and I was over at Chico State, I was working with recruiting at that time. And Tonya and I, our pastor there, was wanting to do a singles ministry. So she and I were asked to do a Bible study together, which I had never done. I'd never done one with a woman. I've always just done men's Bible studies, and I didn't want to do it.
No.
And Bob Sprague said, you need to do this for your own growth. And he was right. And so we ended up doing this Bible study together. We called it AWOL, a way of life, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So we met. She was dating a guy I discipled. If you don't know what that means, is it's like mentoring somebody in the faith. So I had done that. And so they were dating. I went, perfect. I could do this Bible study. And I was, at that time, I was casually dating another girl at that time. She and I were great friends. And what ended up happening is, over the time that year, Tonya went through the loss of a cousin, traumatic death, and a lot of other things. It just it looked like it was one thing after another. This girl was getting hit by everything, and it happened to land. All the news happened to land on our Bible study night.
Oh wow!
So I would tell her, go to where you need to go. I'll take care of the Bible study. And Shayna was there. She's this little kid, and I'm having to try to deal with that while I'm doing this Bible study. But Tonya saw something different in me, and she said that she saw that I could maybe be teachable. I could learn. Not to fix me, but to be one that can listen,
right.
And maybe have more compassion than she thought.
Right.
And so it was, I don't know, probably March, April of my last year in graduate school, in which I went, man, she's real pretty. And she's discipling all these people and being a coach for other single moms that are going through the pregnancy process. She was doing a lot. And I was just impressed by her. And so I asked her out. We went on just simple little dates. And we had known each other for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, okay.
And we just did that. And then suddenly I just went, man, I could marry this girl. She was at that kind of time in her life too. But then I was a bonehead, like a typical male. I struggled with her being a single mom.
Right.
And so I broke the relationship off for like just 2 days, and we were just talking about it because I was just going, because she knew I was struggling with it. Yeah. And did that twice.
Oh.
Third time was going to be strike out.
Yeah.
And honestly, I did that really quick. We didn't really, because I was just going, if I keep this dating process up, I'm going to marry her.
Right.
I'm at that point in my life. I'm ready to commit somebody. I'm not one of those persons that believes that, there's only one person for you on this planet. I believe that God develops you, makes you into the person he wants you to be if you're willing to do that. And then you're ready to look for somebody that is in the same place as you. Right. And then I commit myself to that person for the rest of my life before my maker. Right. And so Tonya always says, why do you love me? Well, for one, there's some lust in there because obviously she's a very pretty girl, but also I committed myself to the Lord. My faith is connected to her. Right. And so imperfect as it is. So the third time she just goes, I've made this decision. She goes, if he doesn't want to move forward, we're done. I don't need to do this. She didn't tell me that. She just goes, I made that decision.
Yeah, and she's pretty. When she decides something,
she's a businesswoman, and that's what I love about her. Yeah. Well, she and I got together. I had said, give me a week and let me just pray about this. So I took time off about my life or where I need to be, and because I needed to say I'm willing to commit to this. I'm not committing just to Tonya. I'm committing to Tonya and Shayna. Right. And so that's a big difference. Yeah. And so it's end of 1980s, going into we're in 1990, and I really believe that God just said, this is the right person for you. Because my dad had asked me to make a list of what I was looking for in a wife way prior to Tonya. Right. Hey, look, and I wrote these nice spiritual things down, all stuff. And he looked at me and said, you got to put that she's good looking. And, you got to be attracted to her, and you got to be honest. You like sports and you like the gym. You need to have somebody that's kind of in that world, likes that thing. So I put those in there too. Yeah. And he was wise. Yeah. Sense of humor, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it was just the spiritual side that I wanted that connection with. Right. So came back, said, hey, I want to continue to move forward on this. Within just a short amount of time, I asked her to marry me. Okay. We did that at the church, did a party for it. Here's another bonehead thing. So I help a lot of people when they go through when they're dating and when they go into how they're going to do weddings, getting ready for proposals, and beyond that, what you need to work on as you get ready for it. I'm not a counselor, but I do know how to make mistakes.
Right.
And so,
I'm in that boat with you.
So what I did is I invited everybody except my parents and my sisters.
Oh my goodness.
Because they lived down in San Jose and I was at Pacheco, and I just assumed it would be too busy for them.
Oh, you assumed.
That was dumb. Yeah. And as we know what that means. So, that was dumb. And I had to apologize up and down because those people were the most important people in my life,
at
you know?
that time, yes.
And
yes,
so, but we got past that again. A bonehead thing. I've never let a guy do that kind of stuff. Help him with the marriage. The marriage is the actual services, and then obviously what they go on into their life to do. But we ended up getting married, engaged, and then married. And on December 15, 1999, married, went to the West Coast, California, because Chico's inland.
Inland a little bit.
And we went to the beach over there, Northern California, and it snowed on us. I've never seen that. I've never seen that happen ever. It was awesome. It was just cool. It was like, wow, it's snowing.
Yeah.
And so there's these Mendocino, these little towns on the coastline. I mean, you know that.
I know where it's at. Yeah.
And it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
So, but that was the whole thing there. And then if you want to kind of go to the next bonehead thing, within 3 weeks, I lost my ring. I was in a volleyball tournament. Yeah. I was in a you're probably shocked that I'm still alive for one. But I lost my ring playing in a volleyball tournament. I left the house because I was so used to doing this. I left the house, went, okay, I'm going to a volleyball tournament, took off, and Tonya's going, what? You know? And I came back, had to be 6 or 7 hours later. You don't have cell phones back then.
No.
And I walked into the room. Alex, never do this. I walked into the room and I had not communicated with her. You know, now you can't get away with it, but I didn't have any way of communicating with her. So I just walked in and I just saw, and you know Tonya, Alex, you know Tonya.
Yep.
You don't want her staring you down.
No.
And the bottom line is I walked in and she said nothing. She just stared at me. Check this out. She just stared. And I looked and went, it just felt like frigid in there. And we had to have a long talk, and it was basically, it's time to grow up.
Yeah.
And you have a family, and that's not going to work.
Well, we do those kind of silly things. I mean, we just do. But I need to back you up for a minute, because it's almost like Tonya magically appeared at Chico State.
No,
so how did she get there?
Well, we've talked about her story in some of our podcasts, earlier podcasts. She actually talks about them, and I could put the links to that. But Tonya was born and raised in Vegas, got pregnant when she was around 18, 19, ended up, family wanted abortion. She happened to go to a doctor and said, pray about it. She went to church when she was like 14 or 13 for maybe a couple of months, at the most. Had a Bible that someone gave her, went back and started checking it out, thinking about it, ended up keeping that child, which happens to be Shayna, who I adopted as my daughter. And now we have 4 grandsons. Right. And so, and then what happened is she got pregnant again right after that. She was lived in the party scene. So she was brand new to the faith, everything else. Felt shame, happened to go to Chico because she had aunts and uncles there.
Okay. That part I did not know.
Yeah, she had an aunt and uncle there. She stayed there and then got her life kind of going in Chico. Okay. And that's how she got there. And I got there because I thought I was going to go to San Jose State. Ended up messing up my knee, had to go to a Division II school. And in that Division II school happened to be Chico State. I loved it because it's the party school of the nation.
Right.
And we ended up running to each other in church.
Okay.
And so that was kind of interesting how that worked. God has his ways of doing things. And also, we were doing what we were supposed to do as best we could. You're college students, so you're going to be a bonehead anyway. But bottom line is, over the years, I've learned how to love her better. Still not great at it, doing the best I can at it. My dad and I had talked about, and I came up with these, what they call 4 S's, but my dad said, these are the things you need to look out for, or not look for, but look to do, which is you need to be sacrificial, you need to be a servant, you need to be selfless, and you need to submit to your Heavenly Father. If you do those 4 things, you can really learn how to love somebody very well.
Exactly.
My parents were married 56 years, imperfect as they are, just like everybody else, but they dated each other.
Right.
And my dad was a servant. My mom was a servant. They were able to love each other through some difficult times. For Tonya and I, that's something I have learned to do. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, we went to counseling within the first year of our marriage because we were not communicating well. Mm-hmm. Tanya's, we always go to our coping mechanism, right? Her coping mechanism was to cocoon and just stay silent. Mm-hmm. Mine was to fix and clean everything, hoping that she would then talk to me.
You, right.
And that didn't work. So we went to counseling, and the counselor helped us with paraphrasing and me to listen better, her to express more. Mm-hmm. And we've always used counselors throughout the years in our marriage, and which is good because when you get hit with something like cancer that Tonya and I went through, where I went through, and she went through it too,
you never go through cancer alone if you're married.
And that can divide a marriage pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
Especially when your spouse is dwindling, which I was getting smaller and smaller and more sickly, and it was in a bad place.
Right.
But she, did great with me, helped me through it, and then
confronted you a couple times too.
Didn't
she?
In the book we talk about
yes,
that.
We do.
And that's where I came up with today is my favorite day and the 6 truths that I say every day. But when we hit this death of Rebecca, if we didn't have a lot of this stuff behind us already, now Rebecca was also bipolar schizophrenic, which we've talked about, and that usually causes divorces in marriages very quickly. Mm-hmm. And we had to go through that. We had worked through counselors, and that worked with counselors for her, psychiatrists, psychologists, and we had to work through this. How do we not have her divide us? And how do we love her and still stay together? And then when her death took place many years later, this year, the first 2 months we were not communicating very well. Because neither of us could really comprehend what was going on. But we were able to get some therapy going. We got with some counselors, and now we're with a grief counselor too. But we're in a lot better place. We're able to fill needs for each other. But if we didn't have the tools for all those years, most marriages don't make it.
Right.
They just don't. Doesn't matter how long you are married.
Right.
So a couple of things through this anniversary, I would say. Future wives, understand your husband, he's going to be a bonehead sometimes.
Yeah, we're boneheads.
And husbands, understand that your wife is wants to love you, wants to be there with you, wants to be connected, but she wants to be loved, and she wants to be loved the way she needs to be loved rather than the way you think she needs to be loved. So the 5 love languages, real important. Very if you don't know about that, need to look into those things. The 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. Please look into it.
You can buy that book anywhere.
Yes, and you could find out about the love language of your spouse, friends, all that kind of stuff. It really works well. And then also, I would suggest to men is that it's your responsibility to have that marriage. It's a responsibility of both, obviously, but it's your responsibility to love your wife as Christ loved the church.
Yes,
and that means there's a lot of responsibility on you. So when you do go to counseling, I would suggest you do. Just know that the counselor is going to be aiming at you mostly at first to see where you're at and how you're loving this wife of yours. Because as you love her, she'll respect you. It's just naturally comes because her love is wanting that already, and then the respect will come, and then you'll feel good about it too. Some suggestions from a guy who's really screwed up a lot. I think you could agree with that.
I could agree with that.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
My dad one time when I was having issues, he says, "You just don't understand what it means to be a man." What do you mean? He says, "Men are big boys with bigger toys."
Yeah.
And guys, you got to get rid of the bonehead ideas.
Yeah. and that's hard to do. We can talk about that at a different time, which would be kind of fun to do, I think. But anniversary. So anniversaries, basically, we're putting it out today, so the 15th. We're doing this a little earlier so I could be gone with Tonya. But I just want to encourage you, marriage. I believe marriage is the greatest thing you could ever go.
I do too.
You grow in. guys, give you another thing too. I know the party scene. We understand that you were in the bar thing. You've done all that stuff. And, for me, I'm going to speak bluntly with you. If you want to truly enjoy a sex life that you can enjoy, the best way to do it is do it God's way. And when you do that, you'll end up being able to love your wife well, and she'll love you well, and you'll be able to enjoy her through your years. At least that's my dad said. I'm experiencing that now.
Yes,
I would suggest that you think that through. And if we do it God's way, I think that's the best way to go.
It is the best way to go.
The world tells you something else. The internet tells you something else, but don't buy into that lie. You could really enjoy loving a person for the rest of your life, and that person loving
you back. So today is my favorite day.
Yes.
Anniversary for Dave and Tonya. Happy anniversary.
Given a good wife.
Yes, you were given a very good wife. So, folks, if you have any questions on what we've talked about today, if you have anything you need to reach out to us to, please connect with us through the email addresses that are on the podcast. And if you need a copy of the book, let us know, and we will get you a copy of Today is My Favorite Day.
And Tonya, if I missed anything,
let us know.
You'll tell me.
I'm sure she will. Dave, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
All right,
sir.
y'all have a great day.
Love you, Tonya. Bye.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD, Today is My Favorite Day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Fott. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.